Okay, so I do my best to find the silver lining in things. As much as I can, though, I'm a realist, so that line only stretches but so far. But man, look, even though I sat in the belly of the beast last week and observed the Chargers losing a game that they had no business giving up, and also had a gentleman spark his taser at me from mere feet away as I exited the stadium, I did get to witness Derwin James tucking his son Travis Kelsey in. So that was pretty awesome. And with that, let's get into these five because that's what you're here for, not for me belly aching. So let's do that. First off, we're going to try this again. Last week I talked about bully ball. I ain't really work out all that well. So I'm going to do a mulligan. Bully ball 2.0. Save Herbert some grief here. I think Lindsley's gonna play, but you never know. And Trey Pipkins is nursing a foot injury, so God bless him and his foot digits, his ankle, forefoot, whatever the hell's going on with him. I don't know, but whatever needs to happen, just get that situated so we don't have to have an extended look at what we already know doesn't work in Storm Norton. And wasn't really sure I'd ever see the day when I was clamoring for Trey Pipkins, but here we are. Let's try to give this another shot. I'm not sure I'm comfortable with Herbo dropping back 30 plus times this week. The Jacksonville Jaguars have a pretty decent front and they got multiple guys that they can deploy. So let's keep the Prince as healthy as one can be with is it fractured rib cartilage, which the term still don't jive with me all that well. It's kind of similar to that whole idea of like non-invasive surgery. I'm not going to rehash that all over again. Y'all get my point. But let's see if we can get the run game going because it's a necessity. And as the year goes on and you have that stable of running backs that you've accumulated, you should probably put it to good use. But that also means the offensive line has to be better at run blocking, which has looked pretty porous here through the first 2 weeks. And God, please, someone find Austin Eckler. Because the fact that he seems to somewhat be buried in, not necessarily in the rotation, but in the game plan in general, is just a little bit concerning for me. So Joe Lombardi, let's get that fixed ASAP. And while we're on the topic of one Mr. Joe Lombardi, number two, oh no, Joe, what is you doing, baby? Some of that play calling last week was a little strange. And when I say a little strange, I mean ridiculous. The double screen pass, whatever that was, which ironically enough worked last night in the Steelers Browns game. It looked like a similar screen. I'm not 100% sure if it's the exact play, but I think it was. Joe has like play calling Tourette's. There's a flow to things, seemingly, and then he gets a little too far ahead of his skis and decides to be cute and call plays that are completely idiotic. There's such a thing as like thinking things out too much. If something's working, you should probably stick with it. To deviate from it, to try to catch a team off guard that's already on his heels makes no sense whatsoever. I am not an offensive coordinator. I don't pretend to be one. I don't play one on YouTube. But I will say this. I can't say that I've seen a guy do more random things than what Lombardi attempts to. And it almost never works, by the way. So you would think that at some point, maybe Staley might want to pull the reins on him a little bit. Tell him stick with the play calling. You've got a play sheet. Of course, during certain points of the game, you may have to kind of maneuver things a particular way if you're able to gain an advantage offensively. I get all that, but let's stop with the getting cute stuff because at some point it's going to bite us. And oh, by the way, it kind of did the pick six. Trying not to have to keep revisiting this Chiefs game, but look, let's be honest. In what universe should you run hurry up once you're in the red zone? Because look, And here I go. Said I wasn't going to do it, but sorry. Pretty much all game long, practically, on 3rd and short, they ran hurry up and ran the ball. And pretty much had success almost every time they did. So why in God's name would you employ the same tactic in the red zone and throw the ball to a guy who's begging to get out of the game? Did you see Gerald Everett before they called that play? Everyone else lines up, they're in their stances, and he is keeled over, like chest over knees, huffing at the line of scrimmage. They snapped the ball. It is the laziest route I've ever seen, but the dude was completely gassed and you still threw him the ball. Why wouldn't you run it in that situation? What are you pressing for? Like, you could have gotten up and run. Hurry up. It was fine. Just run the ball. At that point, take the time if you need to and dial up your best play. You've already got them on their heels. I get it. Maybe you just want to force the issue, but that play call in that situation, again, Joe's doing too much. But I've rambled on enough about this. Let's get into number 3, because at this point, Joe is he's skating on thin ice. It's getting there, with me at least. But now for the 3 ski, I'm gonna call this one "Ain't No Sunshine." And that's right, you have now gotten 2 Remember the Titans references, so you're welcome. Trevor Lawrence has to feel the heat this week because as much as you would be led to believe that he's having this tremendous year, he's doing better, but he's still pretty much the same guy. He just has decent coaching and play calling with Doug Peterson. And it's made a world of difference. Of course, you're looking at the record, they're 1-1. And they look like a different team. But at the same time, by the same token, Trevor Lawrence can be had. If you get decent enough pressure on him, he'll give you a couple. He'll hold the ball a little too long. He'll be super indecisive. And he kind of still has that one read thing where if he doesn't see his first option, he kind of gets stuck there. It takes him a little while to scan, and you don't have the type of time to play around in the pocket. And as mobile as he is, I don't think he moves around as much as he should. I also feel the same way about Herbert. But y'all remember, around the same time Herbert was coming out, Sunshine here was the man in college. And I keep going back to this because I was trying not to sound like a complete idiot, but I didn't really see the difference from an athletic standpoint between the two of them. They looked pretty similar. The only difference was that Lawrence played for Clemson in a better offensive system, and the guy that's now coaching my favorite college team, the Miami Hurricanes, could not figure out what the hell to do with Herbert. It was a really vanilla offense, and you didn't see the best of him, but in that Rose Bowl performance, when you saw him using his legs, which again I feel like he should do a little bit more of, didn't really see the difference from a talent perspective between he and Trevor Lawrence. But I digress. Anyway, like I said before, get the Sunshine, make him feel the heat, put him in the ground a few times, and you should be good. Let's see how it goes. On to Fo, and we're gonna call this one Gut Punch, because that's exactly what I expect from Sebastian Joseph Day and Austin Johnson on the interior of the defensive line this week, whether it be against power or duo or whatever Jacksonville decides to throw at them. They're gonna have to be very sound on the interior of the defensive line, because James Robinson and Travis Etienne kind of have like this smash and dash thing going on. And James Robinson, while a very capable back, is more of a downhill dude. Etienne is much more explosive, more multiple. You can not only throw him the ball out of the backfield, but you can line him up as a wide receiver. And as a matter of fact, good old Urban Meyer attempted to make him a wide receiver primarily last year before he went out with that injury that cost him the season. And I don't know, maybe Herb came up with that idea in a bar while he was goosing another middle-aged woman. It's full of great ideas. But let's go ahead and kill this whole narrative, because I've seen it and it's not, I don't get it. I've seen different outlets claim that the Chargers' run defense is basically the same as it was last season. And you can tell these are people who just look at box scores There's no context surrounding any of this stuff. If you watch the first two games, really simple actually. The majority of the runs came on chunk plays, and I think all of them were in the second half. Jacobs in week one, had like 10 carries for 50 something, 60 something yards, something like that, and one of them was, I believe, an 18 yarder, something like that. So you X that one out, it's got 30 something yards on the day, whatever. Week two, KC, you've got Clyde Edwards-Helaire that had another something like that, like 10 or so carries for like 70 some odd yards, but one of those was for 50 plus yards. So again, if you actually watch the games, then you would have a better idea and understanding of the fact that the Chargers' run defense has held up very well throughout the first 2 weeks. They've just given up a couple big plays here and there. It's not been something that consistent. Teams aren't just shoving the balls down their throat. Ooh, big pause. But this is what I mean. This week can't be any different. Actually, it needs to be a little bit better, because what you don't want to have is, your run defense become leaky and you give up a few big plays that allows the Jaguars offense to be more balanced, and then Trevor Lawrence becomes a bit more dangerous. That offensive line doesn't impress me at all, but you don't want to let them get any confidence and start steamrolling you. It turns into a bit of a shootout, and just can't imagine having that happen against the Jaguars. Again, I'm not underselling them, but it is still the Jaguars, and though they may be better coached, it's still the Jaguars. So let's not let that happen, please. I don't want to have to come back here next week and look at you guys and be wiping tears from my eyes. Not an overly emotional person, as you guys have come to know. So it would take a lot to jerk some tears from me. But losing to the Jaguars, or even having it be overly competitive, might just push me over the top a bit. And those will be angry tears. I may Hulk out a little bit, which wouldn't be pretty for anyone, especially not any of my household items, because that's probably going to be the first thing to go. And to put the cherry on top of this bad boy, let's roll with number 5, and I'm going to call this one Mike's Imagination. 81, it would be tremendous if you would go into this week pretending that you're playing against the Kansas City Chiefs again, because I don't know what it is about Mike Williams and KC, but dude decides that those are the games to go nuclear in. And maybe if you can just imagine that being a red uniform with an arrowhead on the helmet, then might draw some more consistent performances. I don't know. It might be a mental thing with him. I don't care what he does. Just give me more of what we saw last week, coupled with Keenan being back, and I'll be perfectly fine. Let's not have what took place last year happen again, where he comes out, has a tremendous game, and then disappears for 1 or 2, because you shouldn't be paying $20 million to a guy to do that. There's no justification for it. We won't revisit that again, because y'all know my thoughts about it. But once again, it would be really, really good to see some consistency from a Mike Williams. He's not a primary number 1 target. It's just not who he is. He's never going to be a great separator. Tons of body catching still, and cradling. But I don't care. As long as he holds on to the ball, he averages somewhere in the vicinity of, let's shoot out I guess a decent number. Just give me 75 or so yards, a tud or so a week. Let's just be consistent, man. Be a viable threat. Something on the other side of Keenan that defenses have to account for. And let's not go like full halves where I forget that you're on the team. Be consistent this week, Mike. I think you can do it. Let's build the momentum off of that week 2 performance and just keep it rolling throughout the season. But either way, looking for Mike to have at least a decent game, and maybe a better running game helps that also. Probably some play action shots, because that's typically what they want to do. And ultimately, at the end of the day, earn that paycheck, my man. That's all I'm asking for. So that's going to be it from me this week, folks. Per usual, I appreciate you taking time out to listen to me ramble. Should be a good game. Wait, should it? Should be a blowout. But we know that's not really a Charger way. So keeping that in mind, I'm going to give you my score prediction here. I'm just going to hope for the best and say the Chargers find their running game. And with that said, probably a little bit lower scoring game. So I'm going to say Chargers 24, Jacksonville 13. How's that sound? Cool? All right. So, you know what? Regardless as to what happens, your boy will be back with another 5 of them things. And again, let's just hope for the best on this one. Have an easygoing Sunday. You guys enjoy your lunch. Try to get that out of the way prior to the game starting. I guess it depends on where you live. West Coast, that's a 10 o'clock start for you. So maybe some mid-morning breakfast for me. Try to down something maybe about 20 or 30 minutes before that bad boy jumps off. Hopefully indigestion doesn't set in at any point. Heartburn. Maybe I won't eat anything right before the game. Maybe a protein shake. Anyway, I'll figure it out. But again, till the next one. Y'all know what it is. It's your boy. Check y'all later. Gone.